Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and our Blizzard trying to get rid of Mercy. It's a bit controversial that I said that, but there are changes on the PTR which would indicate that they actually are. But before we go into those, let's just look at Mercy, right? Because I've been doing some thinking about this, and Mercy is, like, why is Mercy, like, why do people get so angry towards Mercy? The thing is, Mercy's res, when it is against you, so when she brings back the entire team, it's really... It triggers me, right? It's kind of tilting, and it is really frustrating because you feel like you've put a lot of work in, and then Mercy has used Resurrect, and all of your work is gone. Especially if you're playing a DPS or something like that, or if you're committing ultimates to the fight, and then Mercy uses Res, and then suddenly it's like, oh dear, all of that was pointless, now we're going to die. Now, Jeff has actually said he believes that Res is not a great ability. It doesn't really feel that great. Now, obviously, Res is going nowhere. Res is a hero-defining ability for Mercy, and I think it's a great ability, and it absolutely has to stay in the game. But what Jeff was saying is, it's not great because, well, it doesn't feel great. But he also said it kind of doesn't feel great for the Mercy who does the Res. Honestly, I think it does, because it's sort of like, nah, I've just used Res, and now you're all, well, we're all alive again, and you're going to die. And usually, you've used a load of ultimates, right? Now, we kind of, when we look at Mercy, and everybody gets angry with Mercy and all of this stuff, it's kind of like the in thing to do. But when you look at how she uses her ultimate, and how, like, the level of, I don't really want to use the word skill, but I guess it kind of is skill, but the level of awareness, let's say, to use her ultimate is much lower than it is for other ultimates, especially on certain maps. So on Temple of Anubis, now you can't actually res from the spawn anymore with Mercy, which is great, and you shouldn't really be able to use abilities from the spawn, but it's so close to the final point that she only has to walk out of the spawn and then she can res, or when a fight breaks out on the point, she can hide behind the point, she can hide in a lot of different positions. And the DPS from the enemy team are not really going to check that because they need to kill the other team's DPS. And of course, when they start doing that, then Mercy just presses Q or whatever button she's got her ultimate bound to. So that's why it can make people feel kind of frustrated. However, I think there's a bit more of a wider issue with Res, and this is the invulnerability buff that it received a while ago. So I think what has happened is a lot of Mercy players who were, let's say, lower in the ranking system, so if they were maybe, in some cases I've seen Silver Mercies go up to Grandmaster, which is like a very large jump. Like, I don't want to say those players haven't improved to that level, because it is possible, but that is a very large jump, right? So what the hell has gone on there? But there are a lot of Mercy players who maybe were Platinum and now they're in High Master, which again is still a pretty big jump. So what's gone on there? Well, I think it comes down to the invulnerability on Res. So when you go into, when a massive team fight breaks out, yeah, if you lose all of your team and you're Mercy and you're waiting for the Res, and then you're going to Guardian Angel into one of the souls, and then you're going to pop your Res. Before, yeah, you could do that, but you would instantly die and their team would come back. And if the enemy team have wiped your team, then it's going to be a 5v6 without the primary healer in most cases. So the enemy team would still kind of win. As I lose my voice. Oh my god. It's because I'm talking bad about Mercy. What's going on? Okay, I've saved myself. Good God. Yeah, so when you dive in and you use your res, you would die before, right? Before the invulnerability change, which was not great. Now, though, you can still use that same sort of suicidal Mercy tactic, dive into the fight and then just pop the res, and then you'll still survive because, well, you're invulnerable. Now, the best Mercy players I've seen, they don't necessarily revolve their play around diving in and trying to get these crazy reses. They're very cute. They hide in corners and they res, basically abusing line of sight. It's not really abusing line of sight because Mercy res does work. You don't need line of sight, so you don't actually need to see the souls before you can res them, right? You just, if you're in range, you can just res them. So I think, like, in the back of my mind, I would maybe like to see it if it was line of sight, so you actually had to see the bodies before you could res them, because that forces Mercy to come out. But still, like, I don't know, that's not really that much of a huge issue, I don't think. So those players would be able to res, then survive, and then obviously heal their team during the ensuing battle, which then gives them probably, well, it does definitely gives them more statistics for the performance-based SR system, so then they go up the ranks quicker. Now the question is, right, how do you counter Mercy, right? What is the counter to a Mercy flying in with Guardian Angel trying to res your team? Where is the counter to that? Now, I've been there loads of times. I play Soldier, or even I've been playing McCree or whatever, but usually I've been playing Soldier. I see the Mercy come in, I'm tracking, I'm firing at the Mercy. She's literally got 1 HP. She gets the res off, she's invulnerable, and then, well, we all die because, well, she just res the whole team. It's quite frustrating, right? And it almost feels like it takes more effort from the person trying to kill the Mercy than it does from the Mercy flying in and simply pressing Q. Now, of course, you could say the same thing about Soldier 76. You could be like, well, Sty, Soldier just presses Q, and then he auto-aims onto everybody and just kills them. It's like, well, that's where's the skill in that? Yeah, you know, so there are arguments everybody can make, and I understand people will be both sides of this argument. Anyway, what the hell are Blizzard doing? Well, they're giving us tools here on the PTR to allow us to deal with a Mercy much more effectively. Now, the first one is McCree's Flashbang. Now, well, I'll read off what this does. So, it now slows targets significantly when they are stunned. This makes them less likely to slide around a corner or something similar once they are stunned. So what this means is, if you flashbang Mercy, she's coming in with Guardian Angel, she stops dead. She stops. So that is a way of stopping Mercy actually getting to the fight to res, which is awesome. Of course, this requires like some pretty good positioning off McCree, like why he would be standing so far away from the fight to flashbang the Mercy, I don't really know. But if a fight's breaking out and it's a brawl and Mercy's coming in and McCree gets a cute flashbang off onto her, she's going to stay still, and then he can get the headshot. Now, this McCree buff, you're not actually watching McCree footage in the background here from the PTR, guys. This is from just the live servers. But I've been playing it on the PTR, and it is so much easier now to just pop people with headshots. You flashbang them, they are dead. Yeah, sure, it still takes accuracy, it still takes timing on the flashbang, but it is a much more effective way of shutting down a Mercy. And why do I like this, right? Because when everybody's talking about Mercy, right, they all just want her res to be fixed in ludicrous ways. Like I said, you know, make it line of sight specific, but that's not really, all that's doing is making it a lot more difficult for the Mercy, and it's not really giving players an option to counter the Mercy play. What it's actually doing is just making it harder so people would just stop playing the Mercy, which is not what Blizzard want to do. This is what I'm finally realizing this. Like, they want us to go out there, give us the tools to counter what's going on. Of course, McCree's flashbang as well is also very effective against dive now, because if a Genji comes in, he can flashbang the Genji and he's totally screwed and you can kill him. Or anybody with movement. If a Lucio is really difficult to kill, even when like you hit him with a flashbang, he still carries on his momentum and he's hard to kill. Now he doesn't. He stays still. You can wipe him out. Winston, he's not going to be able to escape, because Winston would jump, and if you flashbanged him, his momentum would just sort of carry on and he just would still get away. Now he doesn't. He stays still and you can absolutely kill him as a team. So it's a huge change. So I really like that. The other change though, guys, and this is by far the biggest change on the PTR. This is a massive change, and this is to Zarya's Graviton Surge, because now it disables all movement abilities of affected targets. This is similar to how Junkrat's Trap affects abilities. Now, there are some little differences here, like Reaper can actually Wraith form out of this. Now, I didn't think he could, but he can. And Sombra cannot use a translocator, but pretty much everybody else is stuck in it. Mercy, who is the whole topic of this video, she is stuck in the Graviton Surge. So it means if you grab a group of players, you can kill them. The problem with Zarya before is when she dropped down the grav and she got the whole team in it, yeah, it was beautiful, it was great, but Mercy would fly away, Reinhardt would charge out, Tracer would blink out. Everybody's escaped it, so it's kind of pointless. So what they've done is given Graviton Surge the ability to just pretty much keep 99% of the entire hero roster in the grav, so they can be absolutely butchered, and that is massive. So what does this mean for Mercy? Well, it stops her Guardian Angeling out of the grav, which she does a lot. You know, I used to play a lot of Zarya, admittedly not that much this season, because she just really isn't that good against dive comp. It's very hard for her to, well, kind of do anything, especially when her ultimate is just everybody use part of dive, so your Genjis, your Tracers, your Winstons, they just jump out of it, so it's like, oh, you know, that was great. Now they can't. So this means that Zarya is an effective pick. But the knock-on effect to all of this, and the McCree buff with the flashbang and the Zarya Graviton Surge, means it is more difficult for Mercy to get away, and it is also more difficult for Mercy to get that clutch res off. And I think that is a bloody awesome change, because right now it is frustrating when Mercy gets the res off on you. If you follow me on Twitter, I put a video clip of me playing on one of my accounts, and it was Temple of Anubis. It was the final point. We roll in, we kill all the enemy team, we think we've taken the point. Our Lucio even is like, oh, I'll just sound barrier, like a victory sound barrier. Well, that was stupid off him, because guess what? Mercy just comes flying in, everybody's firing at her, but you can't kill her because she's already popped res and she's invulnerable. She's flying through the air, everybody's back, it's like, oh god, and then we all die, and it's it is very frustrating. Now, we know they want to get away from these frustrating abilities. We know that when we look at Roadhog's hook nerfs, they don't want Roadhog to just be instantly killing people. They don't want ability or ability combos that feel not great to be in this game. So it looks like they are finally getting round to Mercy, but the way they are changing Mercy is a very cute and a very clever way of doing it. They're not actually changing Mercy. They're giving other heroes who are not seen as often in the game, because McCree, he's not in the meta, Zarya, she's not in the meta. They're giving them tools to deal with a Mercy more effectively. So it means those heroes can now be brought out to take on the Mercy, and I think that is such an awesome change. Guys, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. If you are a Mercy main, what do you think? Do you agree with the way Blizzard are treating your hero? Do you think she needs to be nerfed? Do you think she needs to be buffed? Let me know. Guys, I've been Stylosa. This is Unit Lost. If you enjoyed the video, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and I will catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.